So here we go. Yeah. What do we want to start? Like, it looks great. It's basically it's the same thing we're familiar with. Obviously, yeah, you can see like missing the limit orders. We don't have all the links to like the sacrifice checker to the pulse ramp bridge because the pulse ramp bridge isn't out yet. Yeah, everything works really well. Like even I don't remember this even being there from V2B where you can go and you can actually click on the MetaMask logo or whatever logo your wallet is, and it will try to add tokens to your wallet. Like that's new. That's cool.
Yeah.
One thing that would be really cool, I don't know if any of the devs would ever see this, but what would be really cool is if I have ink selected here, I can't actually click the MetaMask logo again. So I'd have to click another thing and then come back in here and then I can click it. It'd be really cool if that was just always available, but it's a small thing.
I know when I clicked on it the other day when it first launched, we went to liquidity pools and I didn't see any. Is there any pools now? Or anything changed on that?
Let's go pools. No pools. Farms, I doubt there's maybe one, but yeah, there
is one.
There's no liquidity because nothing's been bridged over. So there's technically no liquidity, $0 value in liquidity. Which I'm sure the APR is based off of the fees and the trading and the liquidity. So then if we go to info, like this is all going to be like this will all have a value. I think my understanding of it is that when the bridge happens, like, cause you can see everything has $0 value in it, even though like, if we go in here, I'm pretty sure there is tokens. Yeah. Like, where is it here? You can see the tokens somewhere in here. Can't remember where it is, but basically this will all change. This will all get a dollar value once there's a bridge. I don't know what testnet they're going to use for this from the Ethereum side, but because Rinkby's down, or is it Gurley?
Well,
is it
Gurley? Yeah,
Gurley.
Maybe I can add a little insight on this one. So this testnet, this V3, this more than likely will be like the permanent testnet for PulseChain. So like just like you've got the Ethereum testnets, right, where people can go test their products out and make sure that everything's working right before they actually go to mainnet. This could very well be the permanent PulseChain testnet. So these prices will be calculated in with a USD stablecoin that isn't really worth anything. So you'll see outrageous prices on everything. But the plugins for any of that has not been connected yet, it appears. So for the time being, it's just going to be blank until they start injecting all the plugins. Then we'll start to see something that looks very similar to what we saw on the V2B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So really, it's nice and simple and clean right now. I mean, you've got liquidity, which you can add liquidity if you want to here. So it's adding a pair of tokens equally in their value to one pool, and your LP tokens, which you can then take those LP tokens and go to the farms section here and make a little bit more yield on the over and above what you make for the LP liquidity providing. But really, other than that, I mean, it's nice and simple right now. It's actually like, as much as it's nice to get everything up and running, it's kind of cool for the newer users to not have so much at their disposal right now. Simply just for them, like there's so little to work with and navigate and try and figure out with all the different pages. For those people, it's actually best case scenario right now. There's so little to learn and focus on and get down.
So for the ratio trading, everyone says, okay, ratio trading before there's a bridge, all that stuff. Is this what we're using to practice with ratio trading? Is this what we need to get familiar with using PulseX for this stuff? Like, can you maybe explain that?
Yeah. So the ratio trading, like this is a perfect example of, I mean, I don't have any tokens in this wallet. Hold on, let me switch wallets. I think I actually have some in my other one. But essentially one sec here. Let me just switch wallets. I'm apparently not good at multitasking here. Okay, we're good. So the ratio trading, now there's this little button here that at the top right of this interface, you can press and it brings up a chart, and it will also bring up the ratio of Pulse to PulseX at the moment. And one of the things that I had noticed just based on messing around with it the last couple of days is that different pairs bring up different prices for the same token. So what this is showing me is that, at least from this, if we're taking anything from this as a statement of what will happen in the future, especially for ratio trading, was because there is no dollar value in this right now. Like, there's no point of relativity whatsoever. So prices for one asset seem to be like all over the map. And this is where I'm been stressing to everyone I come in contact with. It's like, be careful. Unless you have some genius way of tracking all this and knowing exactly why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to make a mistake, even if it's a small one. And that small mistake could set you back so like months to get those gains back. You know, it's so hard to understand what you're doing when you don't have that point of relativity. Everything is out of whack and out of sync. And it's just better to play it safe and wait until that point of relativity comes in and you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I'm trading for. I know the exact ratio. I know the prices. I know I'm getting a good deal or a bad deal, and I can either make a move or not make a move and be certain about it at that time.
Yeah, and let me just add something real quick to that, just to kind of drive that home. There was something I noticed as soon as this testnet, this new version popped up. As I was watching people set their liquidity pools, like when they were the first ones setting them, they were making huge mistakes. And this is where you can get wrecked as either a liquidity provider or somebody making the trades. Is when you go in to set that liquidity and you're the first one, you're setting the ratio, right? You're setting up that ratio of how many coins of A are going to equal coin B, right? So some of these guys who jumped in and they were the first ones to set the liquidity pool, what they did, especially with the tokens that have a lot of zeros in them, like Hedron or like Communist, right? Those two, they went in there and they got them backwards, right? They got them backwards. So all the zeros were on the higher valued asset and not so much on the lower valued asset. So that wrecked two people at the same time. It wrecks the person providing liquidity, right? Because they're getting a horrible ratio. It's literally inverse of what it should be. And it wrecks everybody who's trading on that pair, right? Mm-hmm. So that was just one example that you want to keep your eye on. If you're going to be early, right? You know, the community has their advice on that, and I would heed that advice. But if you are there, keep in mind, people make mistakes and they set those ratios in the inverse, which can get you wrecked real quick.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
I just want to ask you, just to make it clear to everyone watching. So when the pre-bridge launches, so PulseChain launches before the bridge, we're going to have access to PulseX to do ratio trading. That's how you're going to do it, right? That's the process. Because everyone's like, every time I hear somebody explain ratio trading, they're like, yeah, there'll be a pre-bridge, and then they never talk about how to actually do it. Like, yeah, you'll just like we're looking at now, except we'll be on mainnet, and they'll have ratios and not dollar values because there's no bridge yet. So just want to be clear to everyone out there. That's why that's why you need to practice. That's why you need to play a test net, get used to trade. I mean, a lot of it, it's like Uniswap, right, or Pancake Swap. So if you know how to trade, but the ratios, as you two guys are talking about, the ratios you're going to be getting set by LP, set by different players. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if there's going to be mistakes that would be advantageous for people to buy and inverse type of things, like Giff said.
And sometimes they're not a mistake either, guys. Like, you could just look at new launches of tokens that launch on Ethereum every day now. And whoever the first person is to set that ratio, they could set the ratio to make that token extremely expensive. But you just wouldn't know that unless you are really deep into this stuff, right? You would just go and say, oh, this new token launched, let me buy up a bunch. And you buy up a bunch, and next thing you know, it goes down 99.9999%. And you're like, what just happened? Like, what the crap? Well, somebody intentionally set that price at a high level so they could extract a ton of value right at the beginning. So that happens right now, almost every day on the Ethereum network. So keep in mind, that's going to happen on PulseChain too. There's no way you could stop that. You just have to be vigilant.
It's a great point.
And there's a lot of charts. You can go out there and look at the charts and look at the launch day and look at the launch price and then look at where it's at now, right? Or where it traded at moments later. Like it's all there. It's all on chain.